Next up, we're going to be checking out QosmicVoid's second theory analysis video of Hunter the Parenting, specifically episode 5, in which all the shit happened. Yeah. We're going to be starting on theory 4. Occam is the ghoul, also known as the Void subtweeting a few people they know theory. I don't know what subtweeting is. Sounds kind of kinky. I mean, I'm not going to shame you on that one, Cosmic, but, oh my. Moving on.
Okay, I need to talk about this theory specifically because I genuinely think its existence is driving me insane and I must scream into the void about it.
Name drop. Nice.
There are some people out there who have made the argument that Occam is the ghoul. Is there any validity to this? No. No, there isn't. He isn't the ghoul. Stop it. First of all,
I refuse.
his solar sorcery is powered by the light of the sun. You know, the thing the vampires die to? There is no prayer in heaven, hell, nor earth that a vampire, especially one like the Regent, would let their ghouls just have that kind of power.
Yes, there is. If they're willing, that means you have a nice little tool to use. Willing. The willing part is very important.
But let's assume for a moment that they did. Please use the fleshy meat in the middle of your head. What's his frame of logic here exactly? I'm the ghoul, but I don't want people to know I'm the ghoul. Dee has come back and is saying there's a ghoul, so I'm going to lock myself in the vault, assault myself, and this will convince people that there is 100% a ghoul among us. This will make people think that there isn't a ghoul.
When did they have skydiving in there? I missed that part. Okay.
What? Am I having an aneurysm? What do you mean this is a theory? This is...
No, it's actually very simple. He locks them up and finds nothing. And then there turned out to be a werewolf and someone was trying to break in and other things happening. It's a very easy one of D's wrong. And we don't know who it is, so it must be something else. What was your source of information? You call it a vampire and you didn't tell anyone. Oh, that's not good. It's not a hard concept if it's willing. Unwilling, Occam is a horrible option. Willing, as long as it's for the preservation of the hunters he's taking care of, it makes a lot more sense.
It's like a child who isn't being bullied and is trying to convince their worried parents that they aren't being bullied. So they slam their own face against the fucking wall until their nose breaks, and then...
Does Cosmic know there's actually dumbass kids who do this? Like, they actually do that. That's kind of fucked up, but it does happen.
And covered in blood, they go up to their parents and say, hey, guess what? I'm being bullied. And think that this is somehow going to stop their parents being worried they're being bullied.
It does actually happen. Like, literally, it does happen. It's fucked up, but it does happen.
What?
Usually, though, it's, I don't want to say I'm the bully, so I beat myself to show that I'm not being beaten, because there's like this stupid pride thing that it makes no sense unless you're a 4-year-old. Or have the mentality of one, which is a nice way to say any male under the age of 50.
If he was a ghoul, why wouldn't he just say, nah, you're banished, piss off to D? Who would have stopped him? Why assault himself? What fucking roller coaster of logic is there to that?
Oh, it's actually a very simple one. Occam genuinely cares about everyone. He's a good person. He took the road of the Camarilla are keeping things stable, and the crazy assholes who are the absolute worst will be kept out, so if I work with them, less of my people die. It's the entire classic path to hell paved with good intentions. That's all it really is. It's all it has to be. Willing, if he's willing. If he's not willing, because ghouls get fucked. Granted, this is less of him being a ghoul and more of him being a willing collaborator, because the ghoul aspect would take over everything and doesn't matter, where the willing collaborator aspect is probably what I would aim for more. And Leonardo Dantes, is the Werewolf Part C available for members? I mean, if you're at the right tier, every video is available in the live streams, but a lot more videos will come up at the $1 member soon, because I'm going to start double posting on days because we have a big enough backlog to justify that. So soon, it will be.
But what if Matilda assaulted him? Then why didn't she kill him? His ritual would have...
To be fair, Matilda didn't kill anyone except the person who probably hunted the Garu, even though she explicitly could have killed a lot of people.
Revealed that she wasn't human. Occam wouldn't assault himself. And the fact that he's even alive proves that the ghoul attacked him, so he can't be the ghoul. I don't understand. How did this hide him better? If he became a ghoul to protect the chapter house as the theory suggests, how does making everyone think that there's a ghoul there make them safer? It guarantees someone dies. I don't understand how this became a theory.
I mean, it's actually very easy. Again, you find nothing. Then the person who you trust and don't want to immediately outcast because you were their ex is just wrong. And then they will back down because they trust you enough to do that. Now, it's D, so we know he wouldn't. And Occam probably is aware of that, is why he's humoring him. I honestly would not be surprised if he did not expect to find someone. Or if it turns out that it actually was just an animal in there the entire time, like a rat. But that still it seems like such a cop-out. Okay, I'm not sure if you can see it, but right now, everything I'm saying is pissing off the person who made this video, who is in chat right now. So yeah, Cosmic, I'm putting you on screen. I'm calling you out by calling me out, to call me out by calling you out. Yeah, you've been busy, except, you know, Occam knocked out. Yeah, I honestly think the Matilda thing, she wasn't going to act right away until she saw an opening to get what she wanted, which was the records. I'm still not sure why they need that. Also, the fact that it was on a floppy disk, it looked like it's still just, But yeah, she has the records. Interesting there. And Cosmic keeps going, I will break you. Nope. I'm not going to say I'm keeping this up because it pisses him off and it's funny to me. I would never say that. But hey, Leonardo Dantes, thank you very much. I will say, though, it does seem less like he's a ghoul and more like he's a willing collaborator. And there might not actually be a ghoul, or maybe Kevin thought it was a ghoul and he just had the wrong information because he thought person on the inside would have to be a ghoul. That's kind of a cop-out answer, and we could see other things working. I still think, though, that Occam would be the one in contact with Camarilla, based solely on the statistics showing the reduction in deaths early on in the very first part of the previous episode, where it had that in the background, because that's the kind of detail that seems incredibly useful to show when you're talking about this, either to show his competence to keep people alive or that he has done something different to keep people alive. And I'm definitely not just doing that because it's funny to watch Cosmic freak out. Obfuscate.
A very small theory here, but let's go for it. In Big D's Reluctant Guide to Vampiric Powers, one of the disciplines brought up was obfuscate, which basically screws with your perception. Say you see a vampire in a corner of a photo or a security camera. Obfuscate would screw with your perception of the photo so that you couldn't see it anymore.
Which we already saw happen.
I'm suggesting is simply that
also, holy shit, just between the new seasons and this season, talk about different animation. This is one of the better anime ones too, even more than the first episode. You can see how far it's come, man. Holy crap.
Couldn't see it anymore. The theory I'm suggesting is simply that the footage hasn't been tampered with in a physical sense, but it's one of the disciplines that the ghoul has. The footage is fine. It's just the perception of Brock and Marcus that's screwed up. How likely is this? No idea. Hopefully other folks can put something together with that. If Grimmel is the ghoul and she's doing this, then maybe that's why there's still footage of her available. Maybe she's not that good with it yet? Or distance is a factor or something? Not too sure, but it's a thought that I had and I figured I'd throw it out there. But
it would be a way to explain this as seeing Kitten and Marcus together hit her. And she just went here to cry. I don't personally believe that's the reason, but if they need a reason to justify her being here with the things torn up behind her. Wait, oh, what does that say behind her? Last? I can't read what that says. But it's torn up and it says the word last. That almost seems like it could be important. I have no idea.
Again, we have nothing to work with here. We don't know what happened inside the security room. Everyone who went inside is lying in one way or another. And we don't even have a timeline for how long everyone was in there. We are speculating, but we have zero actual evidence.
The Umbra. Is this really a theory, considering we know the Umbra was explicitly involved in the episode? It's probably how the Umbra was involved then.
So a lot of people have been wanting an explanation of the umbral realm, to which my response is, oh really, is that all you want?
Me, when I realize I have explained what the Umbra is, having seen the Burger Creek video about the werewolves and just vaguely touching on the Umbra. Yeah. That is a thing, man. Like, as much as I might annoy him by constantly saying something I know he hates, actually having to do any justice to the Umbra sounds like a video in its own right.
The realm of souls, also called the Umbra, is a monumentally complicated thing to describe.
Not to be confused with the warp or any other random aspects that may or may not have magic users walking into it where there's a bunch of Fae shenanigans.
If you've ever gone on the White Wolf wiki and gone, what the hell are they even talking about anymore? I was just trying to learn about vampires. When and where the hell am I?
Yeah.
And how did I end up on a page about the planet Mars? Sorry, what the hell do you mean Mars used to be inhabited? You can't just skim past that. Odds are good you ran into something connected to the Umbra, and a lot of stuff is connected to the Umbra. It is easily the most difficult thing in World of Darkness to explain and wrap your head around, but I will try to explain it as simply as I can. The Umbra is essentially a mirror of the world that exists alongside but also separate to it. It is separated from Earth by something called the Gauntlet, a sort of metaphysical spiritual door that doesn't physically exist but also does at the same time.
Oh, now that's an interesting thing I did not know about.
Let's build up this analogy. Imagine you're in a room in, random city example, London, with only one door.
See, this is not even fair. No one who can actually afford YouTube can also afford to live in London. That's like, you know... Okay, let me explain that one. London is one of the most expensive cities in the world. If you spend time on YouTube, you are not making enough money to live in London. Or you have enough money to live in London, in which case you're probably not the kind of person who would ever be on YouTube. This analogy is already completely impossible. Insert inflation, and I don't want to think about how expensive a new house costs now. Oh, God.
And you have two keys. One key will take you out of the room and into London like a normal door. The second key is made out of magic, and when you open the door with that, the door will take you to another dimension.
I don't know why, but I think I literally saw this plot device somewhere, and I don't remember which story had it. It seems so familiar, it's actually bothering me.
The door in this analogy is the Gauntlet. It's just a magic door essentially with a silly name that you have to have a particular key in order to activate. Except it's not exactly a door, it's more like a door-wall hybrid that engulfs the entire planet. That's the simplest...
Monsters, Inc. It was Monsters, Inc. Except it was doors instead of keys, but it's close enough.
...way of understanding how the Gauntlet works. And on the other side of this door, you have the Umbra, a spiritual world which is far larger than the Earth is. The Gauntlet is that wall, a metaphysical separation that divides the two.
So him falling in the hole was the gauntlet to enter for him. Oh.
In some places you can walk from the Earth to the Umbra without further requirements, but in others you would need a sort of magical key, a right or an ability that would allow you to traverse between the two. This is what the werewolf did to shift between our world...
And their spirits were bear and crow? Raven? I have no idea what that is. Magpie?
Umbra. Werewolves have an ability called stepping sideways, which allows them to traverse the Umbra via any reflective surface, like a mirror or a puddle of rainwater. It comes to them as naturally as walking does to someone who can walk. The Umbra itself is split into 3 different umbrae sections, like isolated areas for lack of a better word.
Stratuses?
The High Umbra or the Astral Reaches, the Middle Umbra or the Spirit Wilds, and the Low Umbra, or the Underworld. All of them make up a group called the Near Umbra, which is focused around Earth. They all have their own gauntlets between them. This picture isn't...
Oh, so it's not one gauntlet for the Spirit World and everything else. It's gauntlets for every division. Oh, so there are interesting keys involved everywhere. Does walking with the werewolves happen just between the Earth and the Umbra, or all of the different divisions? I have no idea.
Exactly, super helpful. Think of it more as the underworld being in the center of the Earth, and the astral reaches as being part of the atmosphere.
I love how he made the Spirit Wilds literally just probably part of Texas. It's like, hey, we're in the middle of nowhere. Let's make it Texas. It does seem accurate.
And the Middle Umbra being the surface of the Earth. It doesn't work exactly like that, there are still parts which operate differently, but right now we're just trying to make sense of it all. If this is confusing, it's because it's hard to describe. In fact,
And honestly, it seems like based on what he's saying here and what Burger Creek said previously, the Umbra is made to be confusing, so if you can understand it, you've done it wrong. That does seem like it.
I'll be entirely blunt about it. It wasn't until I saw Chapter 5 that it really clicked for me precisely what the gauntlet was. I had a rough understanding of it, but it was a very confused one, and then I saw the episode and my brain just went, ah, that's how it works. So don't worry about it if you're struggling with understanding. I was struggling with understanding until like 2 weeks ago. Trying to explain the geography of the Umbra is a bit like trying to describe fascism. If you know what you're talking about, you could do it relatively decently, but it would be fundamentally incoherent because the subject matter is inherently incoherent and doesn't make any sense and changes depending on where you are and what's going on. As a comparison, it's going to upset some people, but A, I'm right, and
Huh, wow. People on the internet being upset. That has never happened. My god, shocking.
B, the point I'm making is that the Umbra is very idiosyncratic complex and in some places literally changes how it appears depending on the individual there, and also changes visually for each individual when there are multiple individuals there. So prick A is seeing something entirely different to prick B despite being in the same place at the same time. And
So we could literally see that from Big D's perspective, which would be different from Matilda's perspective, which could have been different from Marcus's perspective. So even though they're all probably at the same point there, they could have been looking at different places altogether. Which also means if they ever wanted to reanimate that from someone else's perspective, they could take a completely different tack on it. Oh, that would actually be very fascinating in its own right.
that's only parts of the Umbra. On top of that, there are many worlds called realms in World of Darkness, and most of them are at least somewhat connected to the Umbra. Also, some planets have their own Umbra and or penumbra, which are then linked to Earth via what are called shade realms. To put this simply, if you met all the requirements, you could physically walk to Mars or Venus via the Umbra if you wanted to. You have the near Umbra, the far Umbra, which is any of the planets up to the asteroid belt, and then the deep Umbra, beyond the asteroid belt, where weird alien crap is happening.
That's actually one of the things I'm kind of weirded out about. Like, the Umbra is supposed to be metaphysical, but it has physical space of where variations of it matter between the asteroid belt and the things beyond it. Why? And is it centered around Earth or is it centered around the sun at that point? Because if it stops at the asteroid belt, it would be centered more around the sun because that's what they're orbiting around. What it would be in the sun? I mean, it's not like White Wolf have made World of Darkness based possibly on a previous thing where the sun was a major import and had maybe people who were elevated, and that would be a thing. They should probably call it something like the elevated system. That's kind of weird. There's not enough X's in it.
A group called the Technocracy found the Dyson Sphere in Alpha Centauri, the next star system over. Again, found it.
Yep.
Not built it, found it.
Totalitarian freedom, haters who I wish to burn and whom way too many would happily sacrifice the liberty to. Technocratic Union. My only understanding of them is they are the best antagonist faction because they are trying to get better, but they're also literally the worst at it. So when they're doing good, they're horrible. And when they're doing bad, they're also horrible. And it's kind of awesome either way. It's like one of those factions where you can play a really fucked up campaign in them. AKA Limbus Company style, or they're an enemy and they could be either the right but horrible about to the point where you don't want them to win, or wrong and you still don't want them to win. There's one of the antagonist factions I do quite enjoy.
There's some weird shit happening in deep space. If you go up into the sky of the Umbra, you enter the astral realms, which is where thought and concepts exist but in different layers. Kind of like how the atmosphere has different layers to it. And if you dig down, you end up in Malpheus, which is just the torment dimension. And there are sinkholes that opened up due to the German atrocities in the Second World War because psychic shockwaves wrecked the Umbra. Yep, that's it.
Malpheus falls off the scale and into something called the Deep Umbra, which is metaphysically separate from the Near Umbra, the image above. Oh.
Thing that can happen. There are parts of the Umbra where you have to physically go to enter a connected realm, others require magic and can be accessed anywhere, some require rituals, others don't, some can be accessed from Earth directly, bypassing the Umbra entirely, some are parts of the Umbra itself separated from one another like islands are in an ocean, and different groups all define it in different ways. You can also just make new realms. Mages do it all the time. They've set up bases and the likes in them. They're usually called horizon realms because they're metaphysically located in a part of the Umbra called the horizon. I mean, hell is in the Umbra, as in like the abyss where all the demons come from, where the fallen angels are, the ones that went to war against God. The Abrahamic hell is located within the Umbra. It was sealed away for a while until 1999, and then we got all the game lines for Demon the Fallen. It's located in...
Wait, the game line for Demon the Fallen explicitly started in 99? Probably because they were doing the entire 2000 Apocalypse thing as part of the game line. I have no idea what anything Demon the Fallen is. I don't know anything about it, no information. I've just heard some people say the horse might be a demon. And all I gotta say here is I'd be willing to learn more about it because it's probably interesting. Yeah.
In the underworld where the wraiths/ghosts hang out, which is in the low Umbra, or maybe part of the penumbra, which overlaps and mirrors the physical world on a spiritual level but also overlaps with the Umbra. Or maybe it isn't. No one is entirely sure. I've looked, and it's canon that no one is entirely sure how and where to define it. A lot of the categorization with the Umbra comes from different groups defining it differently. None of this is objective.
So it's kind of like spirits. It is whatever you think it is, and it will appear to you as you think it is based on how you believe it is, but also it's wrong. So it's like timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly stuff. It's completely correct to say it that way, but it's also completely, utterly wrong. Yeah, sure, that makes sense.
It's how different groups make sense of something they...
Physical changes to an animal. The horse is possessed because he has physical changes that normally don't exist in an animal, such as being able to spit blood. They don't have a gag reflex to do that, and balding on the top of the head.
Inherently doesn't make any sense. Look, when it comes to the Umbra, you're just going to have to accept the fact that things are a lot more metaphysical, contextual, and weird stuff just happens. All the weird stuff in World of Darkness, 9 times out of 10, it's connected to the Umbra in some way. As such, the scope of this video means I can't give you anything more specific than an incredibly broad overview. The Umbra refers to a whole bunch of potential stuff, from near-Earth spiritual dealings to stuff happening on the fringes of Jupiter, like...
And that actually is relevant because we explicitly know, this is going to be spoilers, but something prior to the episode he's talking about right now, that Marcus explicitly has a contract of some kind with something from the, oh god, why is that looking like Cthulhu realm of the Far Realms? So him being in the Umbra is a little closer to something he probably doesn't want to be closer to.
6 different known afterlives, the realms of mere concept to merely being a gateway to the other realms. We haven't even talked about the inhabitants of the Umbra, which also vary wherever you go.
Of course.
But the main inhabitants are spirits, and everything has spirits in World of Darkness. There are nature spirits, like the spirits of animals, to the spirit of this rock, the spirit of...
He's actually doing the this rock thing. Oh my god. Literally the same reasoning. I mean, it must be a classic one in World of Darkness then, to talk about spirits of rocks versus rock. Hey, Clan Lycos one, thank you very much. Going to be at 20 this week, and I've been watching you since middle school. It's weird to think that someone I've never met has such an impact on my life. Thanks for being there on my best and worst days. Oh, goddamn. Thank you, Clan. Also, I'm going to ignore the middle school comment because, oh god, I already feel the old creeping in. It has been that long, hasn't it? Damn. Seriously though, man. Thanks for sticking around, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Of that rock, the spirit of the concept of rocks, and the spirit of rock itself. There are spirits in some realms
the
of
rock
humans
example must be
inside helicopters
constant,
hunting down wolves. All the planets have spirits, like Gaia, the Earth spirit, and Luna, the Moon spirit. The forces of nature all have spirits. The spirits of spirits have spirits. Electricity, fiberglass, microchips, and the concepts of capitalism and communism all have...
I forgot the first time around they actually explicitly extra spelled this name because it's a literal name of a place. I thought it was a joke. And then people told me, no, the British just name things like this. I'm going to ignore the fact that there is a nowhere near where I lived. It was close to Mars. Those are all real places in America as well.
And
Albuquerque.
Like I said, stuff gets weird in
Except it's
that.
not.
Needless to say, if Marcus wanted to learn about the supernatural, he literally could not be in a more supernatural place. This is like being interested in Russian history and getting transported back in time to the Bolshevik Revolution. This is as authentic as you can get. Did that clear up anything for y'all? If it didn't, then bad news. This is...
I have a feeling if it didn't, then you're learning about the Umbra, and that's basically what it's going to be like the entire time. Just throwing it out there.
Probably the most coherent that it's going to get. It's very difficult to explain, and going into it in any more depth would take up literally hours. As to which part...
Considering how long the Burger Creek video went in just with werewolves alone and only touching on the Umbra, and that was a significant portion? Yeah, that sounds about right.
Of the Umbra Marcus was taken to as seen here, I would have to guess the middle Umbra. The middle Umbra is sort of what you imagine when you think of it being the Earth's mirror. It's a vast realm that reflects the world in some ways and differs from it in others. Think of it like an ocean, and there are realms scattered among it, which would represent islands. There are parts where you make your own world, some you have to go to. It's kind of like a spiritual hub world, for lack of a better term. If Matilda wants to take him to another realm, they're likely going to have to travel via the middle Umbra to get there.
Where would she head to, though? Theory 7. How to get to the Umbra. But isn't that just a thing you can do by going to locations or getting a werewolf?
So, with Marcus being captured, what...
Oh, this came out before 5.1, which showed Lemon Ram, or Ross, not to be confused with Lime Joey or Strawberry Rachel. We don't talk about Phoebe. So this very well might be the lead into why a certain person is being sent to bring Marcus back. Oh, no. It's a good thing Big D doesn't have a wolf child who might be antagonistic to their side based on interactions with the technocracy, who could be given the job to bring Marcus back home and interpret that as, hey, let's kill him. Because someone fucked around, like someone in the technocracy giving bad information. It's a real good thing that wasn't the case. Mostly because the person who would do that would be a horse, and horses don't talk.
Has to ask a question. How the hell are they going to get him back? How are they going to get into the Umbra? No one there really seems to have the capacity to enter the Umbra as far as we know. That might be why.
Also, pointing out Pyotr wasn't D's son? Yep. Which is one of the reasons it might not be the case, because they're spiritual successors, not direct successors to the characters. But also, it would make it a lot more on the nose and kind of convoluted, but also give a good reason why he has that connection already to make the request if they decide to go down that route. Yeah.
Why Occam is contacting the Coalition. Well, if you recall, I mentioned that just about every external realm is connected to the Umbra in some way or another. Anyone remember a place that we saw that doesn't seem to be part of Earth proper? Because I do. The 99p store. It's pretty clear that this place has some sort of supernatural connection. It's hard to say what exactly it is, but if it's another realm of some sort, or it connects to another world of some sort, then there's a good chance that it's connected to the Umbra. So my theory is that Dee will take the group to the 99p store, break into the back, head down this hole, and enter the Umbra that way.
Maybe. I'm not sure if that's where they would go, but also it is laid out that that could happen. It's either this or he'll make a contact, which could be the case. I don't know how his engagement with mages go to see if he would have the contacts of the technocracy to contact the guy from the last episode. But they have the end to at least make the contact, maybe. But that seems very convoluted and honestly would be more simplistic and recent. Excuse me, that's embarrassing. More simplistic than what the story usually goes into, because a lot of their plot twists have expanded the universe rather than trying to tie things together. So I really doubt that's the way they would take it.
There's some flaws in this plan, of course. He did say that it was more a mental thing, that he didn't actually go there physically.
Unless he
and
did.
Depending on where they are in the Umbra, they may have to pass another gauntlet, which kind of seems like they're back at the original problem to begin with, unless they have someone with them who can pass through the gauntlet from the underworld to the middle Umbra, if that's where they are, or any other number of gauntlets that they might need to pass through. But it is the one place that seems to have some sort of connection to the Umbra, so that's my theory. that they go there, figure out how to enter the Umbra, and figure it out from there. I'm not particularly attached to this theory if you can't already tell. It's just one that entered my head, and it feels like it would make for some good foreshadowing, so maybe that's the plan?
I honestly feel like the foreshadowing is more showing that it was a corrupt plan to destroy things as a reflection, so maybe he was mental and he saw what the place was as a metaphor when he got there. But I also could be completely wrong because it was run by the ghouls, who may or may not be one of his exes. I don't know. It's one of those things where all I can say is I know I don't know enough at this point. And that's about it.
I don't know. Let's go on to the next one.
Future episodes do not make it easier. Oculus Imperium.
So this eye thing that Marcus is digging around with. The Oculus Imperium. Closest translation from Latin I've been able to find is the Eye of the Empyrean. In Christian cosmology, the Empyrean is the part of heaven God hangs out in. If you look at the eye, notice this cross with a number of dots, one in the center and one at the end points of each of the lines. This is the exact same symbol for the imbued. Humans.
This I have heard about because people who knew more about World of Darkness were rabid with this information when they got in, and may or may not be pointing towards Big D being imbued or Marcus being imbued because he could use it. So there's a lot of things going on. And who are giving powers to the imbued? The messengers. Who are the messengers? Don't know. They exist in the technocracy, though.
Who, in a moment of perfect clarity and understanding, were chosen by enigmatic beings called messengers to fight against the supernatural. Who are the messengers? No one has even the slightest clue. Absolutely none. They are some of the most mysterious creatures in all of World of Darkness. And that's including all of the weird, inexplicable crap that happens in the Umbra. We have more of an explanation for that than we have on the messengers.
Which is own right is terrifying.
What's interesting about them is that if they imbue you, they're kind of fine with you just doing whatever afterwards. There are some people that think that the messengers are actually the bad guys here, since all the weird supernatural stuff started happening after the messengers got in touch with them. And the messengers don't unimbue them or anything, they just let people do whatever they feel the need to. Whatever the case may be, this object seems to be an imbued eye. And if there is any doubt left, we can eliminate those doubts with these symbols.
Oh, so that's not something I was aware of. Because I thought it was a one-time thing to see the path, because he used it, so it's working, and then he's done. But according to Cosmic, no. It's not a one-and-done item usage. It's a, you got power. Have fun. Also, if you want to take it at the most extreme, it's the God interacted with people. How does God know who to interact with? Throw a stone, see who it hits, and have a giant Rube Goldberg machine to get the outcome you want. Or don't, and you're just throwing stones to see who does the thing you want, which is also the shotgun approach of throwing stones. If you throw enough stones, someone will hit the thing you need. Also more commonly called the monkeys with typewriters writing Shakespeare. If you have enough, infinite amounts, eventually it'll work. Is it a good way to do it? No, but it's probably funny because it involves giving monkeys typewriters. That only sounds like fun.
The imbued have a sort of glyph-based language of words which they can see, and these symbols are what we're seeing here. Imbued are able to understand them, so it's implied that this is the language of the messengers, and the imbued have an innate understanding of them. Whatever this thing is, it is 100% unambiguously related to the imbued and the messengers. There's no question there whatsoever. The symbols that Marcus is seeing, by the way, they're the glyphs for danger and puppet. Puppet is the part that makes me think that the ghoul is still a threat, in case you were wondering. So
that's danger, Matilda, and puppet. A dangerous puppet? Or is the puppet in danger? And is it leading him because he's being puppeted? Because we know he has someone pulling his strings. Because it could also be leading to where he needs to go, but also we don't know the context. So for all we know, this could be saying that he's going to be in danger and he is the puppet because of what we saw in the previous audio log where something made a deal with him. Yeah, that's still a thing as well, because the puppet could be Marcus. Don't know. Just don't know. We do not know.
We know that this thing is related to the messengers. There's not really any ambiguity there. In such a case, there's a couple of things that we can infer. Occam said that the only person the eye worked for in the past was Fatigue, but it stopped working for him a while ago.
Oh. There was a line about bystanders that I missed. What would cause a messenger to stop working with an imbued? And that also means Fatigue was one of the imbued, who the werewolves didn't come to kill until after he was no longer imbued. Oh. I wonder if that's important.
I would like to point out that Fatigue was described as being a hunter in his youth, fighting against all manner of creatures. But the eyes stopped working for him a while ago, presumably around the time he decided to stop fighting. And it doesn't work for anyone else in the Arcanum, who are avowed not hunters, but scholars. And it worked right away with Marcus, who is an active hunter. So it seems that the eye only works for hunters, which would make sense given that the function of the messengers is to imbue people to fight the supernatural. The eye may well only work for hunters. So does this mean that Marcus has been imbued? I don't know. I don't think so. Seems more like he was just given a push in the right direction.
Was he though?
If he has been imbued, he can't become a mage. The imbued can't perform magic or even sorcery from what I understand. So, you know, if Marcus performs any more magic in the future, we can rest assured that he isn't imbued.
That's the crazy part though, because it was Cosmic in the previous one who mentioned the chair and the bar might not have been Marcus doing magic, but the chair being a tool to do magic, so you immediately get sober. Because what's the biggest risk to someone who could be drunk is being drunk and being attacked, so immediately get sober. Also seems like kind of a buzzkill, but that's a different matter.
I've seen some people say that this is a dumb move of Marcus, and I mean, jumping in headfirst wasn't exactly his smartest move, but it's not like he's possessed
it is Marcus.
To be clear, the imbued, again, have free will. They can do whatever they want. It's not like Marcus has been possessed or something. There are some that theorize...
Well, that's depending on if he actually was possessed or not, and we don't even know if that is the case, because we don't know how he was engaging with that one entity.
...is that the messengers are angels, Elohim, direct creations of God in the religious sense. The name Oculus Imperium seems to suggest that this is how HTP is interpreting them, or at the very least is leaning into the idea. If that's the case, then we have three options here, I think. 1. This is the eye of an imbued, but the eye still has some sort of ability. 2. It's the, quote, eye of an actual honest-to-God messenger. Or 3. This isn't a messenger at all, but a reliquary, an item that stores an angel, or, well, an Elohim. A fallen angel. A demon.
And that would lead into demon. And Valerian just mentioned, imbued are completely blocked from the Umbra. Can't even be dragged there. Oh. And Cosmic's in the chat saying, yeah, I didn't know the imbued couldn't enter the Umbra either. So the fact that Marcus could be taken to the Umbra at all means he was not actually imbued. Oh. Now, Cosmic didn't know that. I didn't know that. Valerian knew that. Hunter the Parenting in general probably is aware of this, but they do have explicit callouts to the fact that their rules are not one-to-one to game rules. So while that's probably a good indication, Valerian, that that is not going to be the case, that he's not imbued, but he was probably getting a push in the right direction, or it's a demon, it could also be that maybe this is just one of the things they changed to tell a better story. I don't know. We'll find out when we get more information.
Messengers are angels, then an angel and a demon aren't too functionally dissimilar. They're both Elohim. If they're both Elohim, then the symbols could just be their language. Just a bit of speculation. I don't know if it being a demon is all that likely. I only bring it up because demons are essentially the same as angels, so it's worth considering. The demons only even exist because they foresaw a disaster that would wipe out humanity and God just decided to not explain anything to them. They intervened because they genuinely loved humanity. So I think that it's likely one of those three. Right now we don't know which.
Oh, the demons were benevolent?
The latter two, then oh boy, Marcus is dealing with some shit that's way beyond his understanding.
Wait, so if he wasn't imbued because he could be taken in there, assuming they know that, then he might not even know what the symbols say because he's not given the translation. Which means this could be the eye or the Elohim talking to him and saying there is danger, puppet, and he might be the puppet they're talking to. It could be Matilda as the puppet. It could be the ghoul as the puppet. It could be something else. But the one person we know for a fact prior to this who had someone else with strings on him was Marcus with whatever that outer entity was.
Standing. My money is on option 1, just to be clear, but it's also based on literally no information other than it being an eye with an imbued symbol on it.
Maybe. Matilda's tribe.
Werewolf.
I mean, the only thing I know is she's probably not one of the more kill them all and let everyone else figure it out later tribes, because she didn't kill anyone except the one person who may or may not have done something against, who lost the imbued status, or who the eye stopped working for, and may or may not have hunted them. So, which means he might have been Wyrm based, or it was straight up revenge, because that's the thing they would do as well.
Wolves, the children and warriors of Gaia. To put werewolves and their line Werewolf the Apocalypse into proper context, to massively oversimplify them, they're deity-ordained eco-terrorists. They were made by the spirit of the earth, Gaia, to protect it. Let me summarize
And they
this
failed.
as simply as possible, just so we're all working from the same level of understanding. The conflict for the werewolves is based around the Triad, a collection of 3 immensely powerful spirits that make up the laws of the universe. The Wild, which is basically nature incarnate, the Weaver, which represents the formation of patterns, civilization, and organization out of the chaos of the wild, and the Wyrm is entropy incarnate, which destroys in order to clear the way for new life, so that the cycle goes around and around. And to put it immensely simply, these 3 were once in balance, but they aren't anymore, and the Wyrm is basically eroding the fabric of reality. So the werewolves were created by Gaia to protect the wild and to restore the balance, or at least some degree of balance, back to the Triad. Werewolves are powerful. Absurdly so. Your average werewolf could probably rip your average vampire in half without breaking a sweat. Well, it's all...
I mean, yeah. I mean, the only people who could hold up to them were Big D and, oddly enough, Remold, which is in its own right kind of fascinating.
Relative, depends how well trained the werewolf is and what generation the vampire is and how well they're trained. I'll put it to you like this way. Matilda could probably slaughter Piotr and the rest of the vampires from the first arc easily. The toughest fight that they would have to deal with would be Kevin, but this is way beyond what Kevin is, there's something tells me that this is far beyond what Kevin is accustomed.
Yeah. If Kevin was really good at dominating people, the last episode would go very differently. Yeah. Fascinating, though, all the same.
To. So I put my money on Matilda. But speaking of power, here's the thing about Matilda, or whatever her name is. I'm making this before we learn Matilda's actual name, but it's in quotation marks in the credits, so we know that's not her actual name, so just...
Oh, I missed that part. And Odoroshi as Gimel and Snipe as Matilda. Because we don't know her actual name, so it could be something else easily. Yeah, that kind of makes sense.
Bear with me, people from, like, I don't know, 2 months in the future. Throughout this section of the chapter, she was holding back. There's no question in my mind. Look at what she is able to do. How fast she was able to move, how hard she was able to hit, and how easily she tore through Giles' hand. She can move.
Which is weird because, also, did anyone else, like, he does have that bar right through his chest. He's freaking out about the hand more. How is he alive? I know I've mentioned this before in the previous sections, and I still don't know, because they did kind of show he has a beam right through his chest, and the hand is what's freaking him out. Not the, you should be dead right now, because that's kind of where your heart is. Yeah, just run it out there.
And hit like that constantly. If she wanted these people dead, they would be dead. She was focused on recovering the hunter data. After she focused on getting out of the building, and then she focused on the people attacking her, and after that she had Marcus hostage. She was
Although she wasn't intentionally going for Marcus. It was originally Brock. I forgot his name. Marcus just got in the way and tried his entire stake plan again, and it just got no-sold.
fighting with a handicap, but she was holding back. On top of that, the werewolves don't tend to send their warriors to do spy work. They don't infiltrate, they rip and tear. If they do infiltration, usually they send weaker members of their tribe to do it. So let me make this absolutely clear. Matilda is a terrifying force of nature, but she is likely a relatively weak werewolf compared to the warriors of her tribe.
So she's the whelp. Or one of those tribes specifically that is more based on information gathering. Because she did mention empathize with the people who just got into the way and killed everything immediately, so.
You think this was scary? It doesn't even come close to the full potential of a werewolf. This is nothing. Telling which tribe Matilda or whatever her name is belongs to is difficult. Bearing in mind again, I'm making this in the wake of Chapter 5. There's no further anything that's...
Yeah, I mean, in the future, Chapter 5.1 did not have anything further to make this any easier. Just added way more questions, which I've heard Void already did a video on, so I need to check that out next as well.
Come out yet, as of the time of this going up? Right now, we have little to work with when it comes to identifying a tribe. Werewolf tribes aren't like vampire clans, where there are some which have pretty clear visual tells. It can be a lot trickier to tell the difference between a Bruja and a member of the Ministry, but if you see a Nosferatu vampire, you'll know it's a Nosferatu vampire.
Yeah.
Werewolves don't have any physical distinctions between one another in the same way that would help differentiate between tribes. That's not how those social structures work. Some werewolves might feel a calling to a particular tribe on a spiritual level. Some choose their tribe, or the tribe chooses them. Some don't join a tribe at all, but they all look very similar to one another in their Krynos form, their war form. Unless it's a Black Spiral Dancer, which Matilda is not. Trust me, if she was a Black Spiral Dancer, we would know. I can
it's like the ones who are massively corrupted would look massively corrupted. Also, if this is the official art, yeah, that's pretty fucked up. It's also one of the reasons I don't think Ross was Black Spiral Dancer, which was a big theory. He looked very not corrupted and was very contained and controlled. The violence was directed only. Unless there's massive mind control going on, entirely possible. That wasn't the case.
Promise you that. Her just being immensely angry also isn't evidence of anything. Most werewolves are angry, all the time. There's a mechanic
for the ones who
in
aren't.
the rule books, the rage, so that's not even something that we can use to identify her. That being said, based on what we've seen, we could make a few guesses. It's 3 options, I think. My guess is that she's either a Glasswalker, a Bone Gnawer, or part of the Get of Fenris. Based on what we have, it really could be any of them. Starting with the Bone Gnawers. The Bone Gnawers are something of a rarity in the World of Darkness because they are in fact based as all hell. So during...
Oh, yep, because Burger Creek did go over them. This is a possibility that the Bone Gnawers were the ones who were essentially given the name Bone Gnawer as a slur. It was an insult. But they took it as a badge of pride because they're essentially the information brokers. They're the ones who go in, get into the places no one wants to be. They're the people who are thrown to the side, who then know everything because all the information kind of flows to them because no one really pays attention to them. And they can get in places to see things that no one else would. Kind of like the servants or the help in a place that everyone else is of high stature. I think I just convinced myself she's a Bone Gnawer. That would be a thing.
During the days of the Imperium, which was when werewolves ruled over humanity with an iron fist and the terror that they inflicted in humanity was so great that that's where the delirium came from, the Bone Gnawers were one of the only tribes that saw the werewolves oppressing humanity and went, what? No, absolutely none of this, and actually fought on the side of humanity against many of the other tribes.
Oh.
They tend to find themselves in the lower rungs of society, the outcasts and pariahs. Not out of necessity either, but out of choice. These guys helped humanity during the Black Death, even when the Inquisition burned them for being, quote, witches. They fought to end slavery. They were involved in the American and French revolutions. These are the types of people that the Bone Gnawers are. There's no real way of getting around it. They're basically socialists. They side with the masses against their oppressors because they see that it is not the rank and file human that is causing the death of the earth, no matter how many werewolf tribes or even well-intentioned humans might try to say it is. It's the elite, the CEOs, the politicians and their lackeys and the business owners and the corporate interests that have...
And maybe the vampires controlling things because the Camarilla would very much be the people at the top with a vested interest in power that will never be relinquished because they won't die.
Fought them, and they are willing to fight alongside any human willing to pick up Gaia's cause. Bone Gnawers can be found in civilization and tend to operate in the lower classes, and are good at going in unseen, which fits Matilda quite well. That could be why she chose to infiltrate as a maid. It would fit with the Bone Gnawer's general motif.
The only reason I wouldn't agree with this, and I think this might be what Cosmic is leaning towards, is because of a comment she made about valuing the entire option of running in like those other guys and just killing everything. It seems like she's someone who can do the violence, who is good at the undercover stuff, but they're not great at it because their story was what undersold them and got them put out rather than anything else.
Another option is the Glasswalkers.
Yeah, it's possible.
The Bone Gnawers are somewhat split between the city and more rural areas. The Glasswalkers are not. They are deeply embedded in civilization and technology.
This is one of the reasons I wouldn't expect her to be a Glasswalker, because her signature was barely legible, and I'm going to pretend that that's not the exact case of mine, so I'm going to ignore that right there. Yeah. And I think on this one, this is where we're going to have to cut it. Not just because remembering that her nearly illegible handwriting that they did to show that she was not actually human was still a better handwriting than I can muster. So I'm going to ignore that part completely and say, Cosmic, this is fascinating. I still think it's, even if Occam isn't the ghoul, I think he is a willing collaborator because ghoul gives power, but going along with it, I still think my reasoning holds true. I know more about the ghoul, the control shown by the freaking cop in the last episode was well more than I thought they were going to touch on. And it was insane, and happy insane for it. But I still think Occam is working with the Regent because stability, keeping his people alive, because they're not fighters. They're not there to kill the vampires. They're there to learn and study. Yeah. I don't know. Could be wrong. Could see what happens. Either way, though, the only thing that would be really disappointing is if it turned out it was a rat in the wall all along. That would be the one outcome that would actually be disappointing because it would be just a narrative letdown. That said, this is still fascinating, and I can't wait to get back and finish this because I do enjoy taking Cosmic's opinions and then saying the exact thing I know will punch him in the dick because he's watching and I can say things just piss him off. I'm a horrible person. I'm not sure anyone realized that. Joking aside, this is fascinating. I like his take on it, and I like just getting to throw around ideas and then seeing his reaction live because he's here. Such as, aha! I have unshown you to the world, or no, wait, I have shown you to the world for the man you truly are. Someone who's actually enjoying this and enjoying that someone else is doing it as well. Yeah. I just realized I put something on screen when I don't have the full camera desktop on. Let me fix that. Haha! There you are! Okay, now you're off. Yeah, I'm weird. I'm aware of it. Seriously, if you haven't, links below. Cosmic's video. Hit it up. He's done a few more videos for different topics and different franchises, and apparently he's working on a coffin of Andy and Layla. I don't actually know how to say that. I've only ever read it. And I've heard just enough about the game to realize if he ever tries to upload this to YouTube, there will be a lot of censoring, probably. We're going to leave it at that. In the meantime, if you haven't, links below. Hit them up. I'll see you guys in the next one.